Sula Montana, the year 2000, August 6th, in the late afternoon. An Alaska U.S. Forest Service fire behavior analyst who was helping with dealing with the fires in the area and was there to document it, named John MCCOLGAN, spent maybe 15 seconds, he said, taking the elk bath picture you're looking at with a Kodak DC280. And it was a TIF raw image file, or very nearly. Now, this was either taken from U.S. Highway 93's Bitterroot River Bridge looking south, or 13 miles away, east by northeast of there, near the East Fork Cabin on East Fork Road's Bitterroot River East Fork Bridge, which is what is said on the majority of the websites. And in that case, it would be looking generally west. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is this is one of the first viral images I saw when I was fully on the internet, like many people. It has an interesting story about it, and I'll link to it. But one of the things about this is one of the most dramatic and important images ever taken. And it was literally 15 seconds with a digital camera at high resolution. It's a 5 megabyte TIF file. And the TIF file was on a camera that did not include GPS capability because, as some of you might know from my other videos on image tracing, adding the physical location to an image wasn't done on most cameras because they didn't have the ability. And that's mostly why cell phones do it all the time. And the next thing is, if you're not aware of it, virtually every website will strip out the GPS location where you took a photo unless you say otherwise. Now, that's good. I mean, that's good security and privacy. But that means we have a 13-mile differential between the only two bridges in the area I can find that could be as described. On Snopes, it's described as a bridge on Highway 93 over the Bitterroot River. And every other place it says the East Fork of the Bitterroot River and a bridge that's unnamed. I'm going to go to the map in a minute, and this is going to take a while, but I'm going to send a link to this video to the guy asking if he remembers which one it was. And I'll provide the GPS locations as well. So here's the river that is being alluded to by Snopes. It's close, and, well, that's the problem. It's just close. Now, the other one, unfortunately, does not have a Google Street View, and it's an area that isn't remote. Now, this location here, if you're not aware of it, is the opposite of it. It's a main highway. It's going past an area. If we're going to look around, if he was here, he would have dealt with this level of Montana wilderness, and yeah, that one isn't it because of the sandbar or rock bar or gravel bar. But this is not out in the middle of absolutely nowhere here. But then again, let's just go look at the pure image. Back up a bit. This edge up here, if we just zoom in or tilt in just slightly, could be the image he got. So we'd have to be seeing some sky area. Even though this is obviously in flames everywhere, this matches closely. Okay, now we're going to go to a different location if I can get the mapping utility to work correctly here. I'm going to zoom out, and there is no Google Street View out there, and it's 13 miles away. So let's see if we can get this to work. I don't know if it'll actually cooperate. I want to point out that the blank squares are because I'm using a browser it doesn't like, so it doesn't include the normal mile markers or the highway markers. It wants me to use a newer version of my web browser. So we go over here about 13 miles away. I have to follow the river. This is going to be going up here, and then past this area that's populated. We end up going, well, let's see if I can find it. We have to zoom in just slightly more. And now we're finding, here we go, there, the East Fork Bitterroot River. And here we are with it coming off of the Bitterroot River here. So we're going to trace this a little bit. There's Needle Creek, which is also a possibility. And we look here, and even though this is just a map, it really is only about 2.5 miles long. It turns into Vapor Creek at one point. So the only places to cross what you might mistake for or accurately depict as the East Fork of the Bitterroot River is this one here and this place over here if you were mistaking it. Now, this is also another crossing point here. So let's see if we can get a Google Street View. And if we zoom out, we don't get one. We get a couple of lookout towers, but there is no street view out here. So we wouldn't be able to analyze this at all. So the only place that's properly called at the time, and yes, even through historical images on Google Earth, the only place it could have been, besides what Snopes says it is right here. Now we just sit and wait. And we zoom in here, and if I click the road, it doesn't do anything. If I click these boxes that's supposed to be the road markers, it says East Fork Road, Sula, Montana, and gives me the GPS. So it's pretty easy. Now, if we had a 3D view, if we look due west, we get the same kind of curve we see in the picture. And more importantly, I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit more. I'm going to hit the layer to show terrain instead, if it'll let me have it. It may decide not to. Okay, there we go. We zoom out a little bit and wait, seemingly ages. We actually see, only on that one, if we look this way, a pattern that is more like what we see in the picture. I'll just go back again. We see a very large amount of hillside and mountain range. And we see that here. It goes from being 5,200 feet to 6,000 feet. So that's a fairly high, that's almost, actually, no, that's a 1,000-foot increase in height there from that perspective. And looking over this way towards Needle Creek, which could have also been where he was pointing the camera, but not likely, we get, thousands of feet of change in altitude. Now we're going to go back over here as my computer desperately boils off every atom of energy it has. If we go to the Sula location here where we're crossing the river, we're at, when I zoom out and get it to show the lines, long time waiting. Hold on. Okay, here we are at 4,600 feet, and it looks like that every time I zoom in and out, it has to reload the entire page. Hold on. Anyway, at 4,600 feet down to what looks like 4,400 feet, we get a rise over here of 6,600 feet. So that's over 2,000 feet. So either of these could have been the item. So it could have been from here, looking basically south, or again, we're looking at the Bitterroot River and we're not seeing, road crossings that would make it to where we would be looking at a normal up angle. I mean, this kind of qualifies, but no. Here's another crossing, but it's not the same arrangement because we have to be looking down the Bitterroot River. So when we go up here, and it's a long distance, and I'm sorry, we go up here and we get to East Fork Road that follows the Bitterroot River and then crosses it here. That one doesn't show the same sort of pattern visually that we could see. It doesn't show the curve in the river that we need. So we're at the point where it's going to be this crossing point right next to the East Fork cabin. By the way, there is a couple of not street views, but people taking pictures while visiting the East Fork cabin like that. But other than that, we don't have much more data. So he was either on this bridge and looking, I'm assuming, west because of the height change here due to the terrain, or he was 13 miles away, basically on a standard highway, and took that picture. And it was like Time Magazine's Picture of the Year or something, because it really brought into focus, the wildlife environment and the situation going on. And it's a beautiful image. It shows a calm, prosaic image of deer, in twilight or whatever, and then hell. I even used this a long time ago for a meme image I did of Bob Ross painting it, and I called Alaskan oil painting, referring to the guy being from Alaska. And it's the stark contrast of hell and earthly heaven, or you know, if you like, the Garden of Eden. I thought it was kind of a poetic image. Still do. It's one of my favorite images. I had it as my desktop for 8 years. A lot of you did too. That and the Matrix. This and the Matrix were pretty common. This image went viral because it got reposted through email. And because this is done by a government worker on the job as part of the job, he's not entitled to any money or whatever. And he also hasn't shown it. I can't even find any pictures of him. So I'm going to email my video to him and say, hey, if you're still out there, I hope you are. Which road was it and which way were you pointing? Because it's driving me up the walls. Because, again, it could be on that road or not. So anyway, again, Sula, Montana, year 2000, August 6th, late afternoon, Alaska U.S. Forest Service fire behavior analyst John MCCOLGAN said he spent 15 seconds doing this, taking the elk bath picture, because there are 2 elk hiding in the river. There were more of them underneath the bridge, by the way, with a Kodak DC280, and he was either from Highway 93's Bitterroot River Bridge looking south, or 13 miles away east by northeast near the East Fork cabin on East Fork Road on Bitterroot River's East Fork Bridge looking west. So, yeah, I don't know which one it is. And if you're out there, please tell me, because it's bugging me. And also, could somebody just go out on that road and do some Google Street View images and put them in spheres? I mean, I'm sorry, but for the last X number, like last year, I've been seeing people injecting fake images into Google Maps and Google Earth, and instead of filling in all the dead spaces in our roads and highways so we can have these images. All I need is one from that other bridge, you know, Google Sphere, and I would be able to tell which one it is probably almost immediately. But it is kind of odd that one of them is a match by geography and geometry, and the other one is pretty close from Google Street View. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.